Uninvited my daughter from Christmas after discovering her 2-year affair with her sister's husband, sparking a family divide and tough choices. I am a mother of 4 children. 2 older sons and 2 younger daughters. All of them are adults and have moved out a long time ago. I have always been close with my daughter Sally, while Penny has always liked to have her own space. Which I don't mind, they're both beautiful talented young women that I thought I couldn't be more proud of. We're having early Christmas this year. First week of December I was inviting everyone around for Christmas dinner, gift giving and a lot. When I phoned Penny yesterday to clarify a few things, she mentioned that she and her husband would not be coming. When I asked, she said that they had separated for now as he had cheated. I said that it was surely better to spend time with family if this was the case and maybe she should come home for some time. She ummed and ahed, but then eventually she told me he had an affair with Stinkbug and they had been seeing each other for the past 2 years. I felt sick. For the past 6 months in our talks, Sally has alluded that she had been seeing someone and was typically girl in love. I uninvited Sally to the Christmas gathering and blocked her. I don't know if I'm able to deal with her before Christmas, but this is family time and family can't hurt each other like that. I'm at a loss in all honesty. Penny is now coming, which is good because at this time she needs stability of people who love her emo. The problem is that Sally naturally thinks I'm in the wrong. It's none of my business, and as her mother I can't block her and remove her from the family. My sister thinks I shouldn't get involved in their personal lives, which I think is BS. My daughter needs us right now. But then she tells me I have 2 daughters to think about. Which I think isn't true. Sally has forfeited that right ATM. Thankfully my husband is liaising with Sally ATM, but he is also in solidarity with me. So are we in the wrong for uninviting a daughter for Christmas? Edit, my husband showed me that this had gotten a lot responses. Too many for us to answer them all, but we will be reading through before bed. A small update, Penny's mill found out. While me and her have only spoken a few times, she did dote on Penny and I know Penny got along well with her. I haven't spoken to her personally, but I know she phoned my daughter and was really supportive and crying. My sister said that if Sally isn't invited then she isn't going either. Which is fine by me. She wasn't invited in the first place due to the pandemic. Otherwise I've been working and doing some crochet, so it's been quiet. Smile update 1. Hello all. My Christmas gathering was yesterday and my son and husband wondered if I would post an update for you all. It's been rather uneventful, but I've been equally surrounded by warmth and love while also feeling heartbroken and lonely. So first of all, since my post, my husband has been teaching me to use Reddit. I've really enjoyed being in some craft communities. My daughter Penny has been staying with us. She works from home. My husband and eldest went to get some more of her stuff from her old house. Penny's mother-in-law, Jane, was there and was very helpful and sweet. She also bought some mint hot chocolate for our Penny and Christmas candles. I know they're her favorite. From what Penny has told me, Jane is having similar feelings to me. A lot of guilt over our children's decision to hurt people we love. I think at this point we have to accept that we did our best raising them, but they're adults now so we can't beat ourselves up. Penny and Jane are going to stay in touch. I think Jane truly does think of Penny as a daughter/friend. Onto some more negative things. I wrote my letter to Sally during this time. I expressed that I was extremely disappointed and also disgusted. While I will continue to have a relationship with her, she won't be welcome to any family gatherings with Penny present unless Penny has met a point in her life where she feels comfortable. I told her what some of you had said, that not taking a side would be a side and that she had for all intents and purposes already uninvited herself when she was so cruel to her sister. Sally had apparently come up on Friday and knocked on the door. I was out shopping at the time. My husband spoke to her. Apparently, Sally and Michael, my son-in-law, are going to continue their relationship. I will not support it in any way or form. She may be my daughter, but that man is not welcome. I am supporting Penny through the divorce, and if Sally ever expects money for the wedding or a house, then she's a very naive girl. My husband sent her away, after which Sally said we'd have to get over it someday. Otherwise, the Christmas gathering was lovely. It was strange not getting drunk and playing board games due to COVID, but still a pleasant time. My hip hurts from the cooking, but husband and Penny did the cleaning up, so who's the real winner? I hope you all have a wonderful day. Update 2. First of all, Penny is doing well. She met someone new about a year ago. They're incredibly supportive and sweet, and they made such an effort in getting to know me and my husband. Penny was still living with me when she started seeing them, so I got to watch their relationship develop, and although Penny is a grown woman, I couldn't help but be reminded of when she was a child and having crushes. It was very endearing, and I'm glad I got to witness firsthand the smile her new partner gives her. Penny also got a new job and has moved to Ireland with her partner. Sally and Michael have continued their relationship. I don't have a lot of love to give Michael. I am civil enough, but frankly, it is difficult for me to become invested in their relationship at all. Michael recently asked my permission to marry Sally, which was disrespectful, to say the least. Penny still lived with me last Christmas, so again they were not invited. I am not hosting this Christmas and I'm instead going to go visit my eldest son. He and his wife had a little boy at the beginning of this year. They've asked me to stay with them for a little while so I can help with the cooking and cleaning, as they have been struggling a little bit. Finally, my husband passed away 9 months ago. He fell while on a walk and hit his head, and was there for some hours before someone found him. It's been a difficult transition, to put it mildly. Being a little bit on the older side, I've lost a fair few people in my life, and while I did grieve, I always had the strength to continue. Losing my husband made me realize how much I relied on him. Not just to take the bins out, or pick me up from choir practice, but all the times I was angry, sad, and overwhelmed, and he was there for me. When other people passed away, at least you get moments of respite in the grief, where you just sort of forget they've passed. With my husband, there are only reminders. Every time I wake up alone, when I now have to take the bins out, when I have to cook a meal just for one person, there's not really a moment of peace in this grief, and I have found it very difficult to deal with. It's his birthday at the end of November, and there was another moment of grief as I had to get rid of my notes for birthday gift ideas in my notebook. Everything has just been so painful to deal with, and I just cannot stop crying even after all this time. I just can't even stand to think of the good moments I shared with him because it just hurts too much. I know there's not a correct way to grieve or time limit, but I just feel like I've got to get up and start looking after myself for everyone around me. Update 3. I wasn't quite sure how to respond to all the messages I received after my last post. It seemed like a mighty task to reply to you all individually, so although I appreciate the well wishes, you'll have to settle for sharing that thank you message. So, thank you all for the advice and care you've shown since that one Christmas so many years ago. Smile. When my husband passed, I could not see another way to live my life. We had shared and created so much together, and I suppose I never imagined a life without him because I never wanted it. That being said, my husband, quite selfishly, died, and so after a year of stagnation it was time to live a life without him. I have moved closer to my eldest son and wife to help raise my grandchildren. It was difficult at first because, although the children keep me busy and gave me joy and purpose, I did sometimes wish to talk to someone my own age about my own interests and not just Bluey. Serendipitously, I ran into an old friend of mine at the leisure center about a half year ago, and she is also widowed. It feels like a light in my life has been switched back on. We reconnected almost instantly, and it's a blessing to have someone I can rely on again. We are living together and she is pretty much considered co-grandmother. While I do still wake up alone, I now know that the kettle is already boiling downstairs. Smile. Penny is doing well. She has now moved to the Netherlands for work, and she and her partner are still together. They've just recently gone back home after visiting for the week. Smile. Sally is also doing well. I know for some that will be disappointing to hear, including myself sometimes. On one hand, as a mother, I'm glad she's happy. On the other hand, equally as a mother, I can't forgive her for hurting Penny. I also have some deeper resentments as my husband passed while he was also hurting because of the decisions she had made. Sometimes it feels unfair to hold that against her. We still talk and I still love her, but sometimes I feel like I'm going through the motions rather than caring for my daughter as I used to. It's also a really hard thing to talk about to other people. There's a lot of guilt and shame involved when sharing that. Sometimes I feel quite ambivalent towards my daughter. All in all, the last couple of years have been a bit eventful. I would give everything to turn back time, but I can't, and so I spend my time appreciating everything I still have. Once again, thank you all for your advice, care and well wishes. The help I received was invaluable for navigating a difficult time in my life. Oop, you should be ashamed of yourself. I don't know how to share a picture of what you messaged me, so I will just have to copy and paste it for others. Hi. I saw your Reddit post on a TikTok, where your daughter had an affair with your other daughter's husband, and just want to say what awful mother you are. The fact that you want to keep in contact with your daughter and be civil with her relationship, after what she did. Your other daughter is fucking horrible, and it shows which daughter you like more. I hope you fucking deserve the way your husband did. Honey, you keeping in contact with that home wrecker shows that you do take her side. I saw your post on a TikTok and everyone was saying they would cut off their daughter for doing that. I am young, but I know how to hold people accountable. I would never have someone in my family who would do something like this. I'm not wishing death upon you. I'm just saying I hope you get what you deserve, and if it's that, then oh well. I didn't have anything going on when I messaged you. I'm just telling the truth. You're an awful person and even worse mother. I wish Penny the best, like away from you and this horrible family. You on the other hand, like I said, I hope you get what you deserved. Oh, and I hope the home wrecking slut and cheater get what they deserve too. I do hope for them end up like your husband. Just want to make sure you see it twice. You know what I just realized? You are getting your karma. Your husband already got his and now you're miserable. Slay. FYI, I'm not like this because I'm miserable. I'm only like this to people who hate and have no respect for their kids and who accept cheating. I can see that you have your own struggles, and I understand that when we're low we tend to act in a lowly manner, but I don't think it will help you in the long term. I wish you the best in life, and I hope one day you can forgive yourself for saying such an embarrassing and cruel thing. I edited in further messages I received and blocked you. One day when you are loved and maybe you will have a family of your own, you will understand. Maybe then you will also have the understanding and patience to actually parse what you are reading. In no way did I welcome Sally or Michael. I don't speak to Michael at all, and in absolutely no way did I take their side. You obviously have your own baggage regarding cheating, and it's very easy to hold your worldview when you have little to no maturity. It must be nice to have such a black and white view of life, and it's obviously serving you well with how miserable you are. Oop, you really came back to a thread wherein you had no notifications to view the edited message, realized you're blocked and made a new account to have the final word, and you want to convince me and yourself that you're not miserable? I have never acted on having favorites. I have children. Penny and I are happy with the way things were dealt with, but feel free to wish death upon her family if you think that's what would make her happy in your maladjusted mind. Drunk tides FK these idiots talking. I have 3 kids myself and there isn't anything they can do that can stop us loving them. Stop us liking them, yes. But loving them, never. And my husband did cheat on me. I know that pain, and I still can't believe the rubbish these people are spewing. Don't waste a second paying them any attention. The world will catch up with their ignorance and arrogance in their own time. I remember your last post, when you lost your husband. I'm so glad you reconnected with a friend and are doing well. Update 4. The main news, which I never expected in a million years, is that Penny and Sally have spoken again for the first time since everything happened. I wouldn't call it reconciliation, but it was, astonishingly, both calm and productive. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To set the scene, as you know, I've been living near my eldest helping with the grandchildren. Well, last October my oldest granddaughter, who is now 6 and developing her own brand of cunning, decided, on FaceTime with Penny, to invite all my aunties for her birthday so they can both braid my hair at the same time, please. She even snail-mailed Sally a construction paper invite, complete with glitter. Penny called me almost instantly in a mild panic, debating whether to decline or brave it for her niece. To my absolute surprise, Penny decided to stay nearby with her partner Miriam, and just play it by ear if she felt up to attending. She met Sally's eyes once across my son's crowded kitchen. Penny held still. Sally moved over, quietly. 2 sisters, both looking every inch like grown women, forced suddenly back into the awkwardness of childhood spats. They spoke, cautiously, in the garden, Miriam and I sitting by the window like 2 MI6 operatives pretending to be absorbed in Uno with the children. I won't pretend it was all confessions and big apologies. Sally's relationship with Michael had ended, as it turns out, several months back, amicably, Sally assured, but who can say what that means when it starts in chaos. She's renting a flat with 2 other women, focused on work, and hadn't brought Michael to any family event for a year. She told Penny she wasn't expecting forgiveness, just gratitude that Penny let her be there for their niece. There were tears, mostly Penny's, but I could see how much lighter she was after just speaking. I suppose even a civil conversation, as 2 people hurt by the same storm, can feel like breathing for the first time after years underwater. Since then, they've agreed to see each other in neutral social situations, as Penny puts it. Definitely not one-on-one, but both were at our grandson's Easter egg hunt last week, and when the chocolate ran low, they actually worked together to orchestrate a last-minute jellybean treasure hunt. Baby steps. Life for both has changed. Penny has really nested into Amsterdam with Miriam. She's picked up Dutch, much better than I managed, and recently fostered a litter of stray kittens. She and Miriam are thinking about moving long-term, maybe even buying a little place out there. She seems vibrant, at peace, and, most importantly for me, she comes back to England a few times a year, always making time for our family, with a little buffer zone if Sally happens to be around, but less and less necessary every time. Sally, I'll be honest, is a bit adrift. She's begun volunteering at a women's shelter, after one of her new flatmates convinced her to use her knack for listening, in a good way. She's taken to running, cooking pseudo-vegan meals, and, bizarrely enough, collecting tiny houseplants. The flat is a jungle, if my WhatsApps are to be believed. She and Penny are not close, and may never be. But Sally surprised me at Easter by quietly passing Penny an old book she'd borrowed years ago, an out-of-print fantasy novel both had loved as girls. There was a little note in the cover, "You get this first. I'll ask Miranda if she can find me another copy." It's the quiet olive branches that sometimes strike deepest. As for me, this year has melted old sadnesses I thought would last forever. My grandkids are growing up shockingly fast. My youngest grandson learned to ride a bike, and promptly cycled straight into my prized rosemary bush, flattening it. "It's okay, Grandma, it'll regrow, it's just a plant." I'm still living with my old friend, now Auntie Margot to the grandkids. We joined a pub quiz team and, don't laugh, managed 2nd place out of 7, which Margot credits to Elizabethan poetry and my knowledge of EastEnders plotlines. I visited my husband's gravesite on his birthday. It doesn't get easier, but it gets less sharp, if that makes sense. I sometimes read him your comments, the ones that make me laugh or think, and I like to imagine he's rolling his eyes at my internet friends. A few things, before I sign off this time. Penny's old mother-in-law, Jane, still calls sometimes. She sends Christmas cards, and even knit a little hat for Penny's newest kitten, which made me cry in the best way. There will not, as far as I can see, be a grand family reconciliation or moving on in the storybook sense. But there is civility, and sometimes that's all the healing you need. I did, as some suggested, look into a bereavement group. I met with several other widows who now swap cheesy novels and stories about their worst casseroles. It helps. And yes, for those who wondered, I finished my enormous crochet blanket. It's hideous, enormous, and every time my friends tease me about it, I remind them each square was stitched in a different mood. Just like life. So, there it is. Progress isn't always a straight line, but it's still progress. If you're reading this, thank you for keeping me company. Your internet kindness echoes further than you know. And to Troll of the Year, I hope you find peace. If you're tempted to write, please send me suggestions for next year's terrible Christmas quiz instead. Update 5. The biggest change? The family has grown, very much in spite of, and perhaps a little bit because of, everything that's happened. Penny and Miriam called me early in the spring, quietly giggling and demanding I download Teams so they could share something. I was convinced it was going to be a new kitten, or, heaven forbid, a foreign grand parakeet, but no. Penny and Miriam are getting married. In the Netherlands. In a working windmill. I genuinely thought they were joking, until Penny showed me a photograph of the actual windmill and her, very, orange wedding dress. I very nearly choked on my biscuit. We're all invited, all the aunts, uncles and cousins and, yes, Sally included. I cannot tell you what a tangle of nerves and cautious hope this has made me feel. When I first told Sally about the wedding, she'd called to ask for help with an IKEA bookshelf, obviously. She laughed, then said, weirder things have happened in this family. She's promised to come, although she's understandably anxious. I told her she didn't have to make a speech, just try the stroopwafels and keep out of trouble. Penny, to her credit, was very calm. She even said it would be good to see her in a context where everyone's a little off kilter anyway. I half suspect she and Miriam are secretly hoping Sally will be distracted by the novelty of Dutch cheese and forget to be awkward. And that's not even the strangest new connection. You remember Jane, Penny's former mother-in-law? Well, Jane came to visit England last February to see old friends, her words, but she mostly wanted to chase after 3-year-old grandnieces and spoon-feed them Dutch pancakes. Jane and I ended up getting thick as thieves by the end of that weekend. Turns out lifelong mothers-in-law are harder to shake than scandal, and we now have a monthly video called Dubbed Transcontinental Tea. Sometimes Penny joins, sometimes not. The oddest moment, Jane sent Penny and Miriam a windmill-shaped lamp for their engagement, crocheted with tiny lights. Now Penny keeps it on the kitchen windowsill and claims it's the only decent bit of British taste in this house. Now, Sally. I could write a small novel about the little changes in her these days. Since our showdown, 2 Easters ago now, she's continued volunteering. Turns out she has a talent for diffusing arguments and creating chocolate diplomacy at the shelter. She's developed a coterie of somewhat eccentric friends, the Plant Coven as she dubs them, one of whom makes vegan fudge and writes very long letters that arrive in strange envelopes. Her flat is still a jungle, but it now includes a balcony garden that's won, wait for it, a local council award for creativity and commitment to urban biodiversity. She sent me a picture. It's basically every color of marigold and 3 inscrutable tomato hybrids in recycled yogurt pots. She and Penny. Well. At Christmas, I watched something I thought I'd never see, the two of them, with Miriam and Sally's friend Imogen, baking vegan mince pies in my son's kitchen. There was a tense, brittle cheeriness at first. I held my breath for half the day. But by the time the children had discovered the magic of sieving flour into a snowstorm, Penny and Sally were actually laughing together, softly, heads bowed just for a moment like they did as girls. It didn't last long. But it was there, and it was real. Later, Sally snuck away, but not before leaving a wrapped parcel for Penny on the stairs, a little wooden cat carved from olive wood. No card needed. For your window. Penny sent her a text after, a small miracle in itself. I saw them both smile at their phones. For myself, retirement, widowhood, and now grandmahood too. 0 have made me braver than I planned. Margot, my stalwart widow friend, who now insists she's the official quizzer in residence at family parties, convinced me to get a passport and try something new. We visited Ireland's wildest west, where I cowered behind her as she introduced me to actual geese, mortal enemies, I maintain. We spent 4 days laughing and eating far too much brown bread. It helped me remember that even if your heart is still a little tender, you can make space for new adventures and laughter. For the first time since my husband died, I found myself thinking about all I had gained, memories, friendships, family, more than what I had lost. Not every day, mind. I still have plenty of good cries. My sons? Oh, they are both teetering on that threshold of actual responsible adulthood that I never thought I'd see. My eldest asked if our stories could be written down for the cousins, before you forget who made which mess. I suspect he's after my chocolate cake recipe, but I've started a little handwritten journal anyway. My youngest took up the accordion, why, I do not know, and serenaded us at Easter. The children howled with laughter and Margot tried to sneak off with the dog. And the internet? Well, Reddit, your kindness continues to stagger me. Last time, there were so many messages wishing me strength and sewing tips that I had to print some out for my fridge. A few of you even sent patterns for blankets and, not to be outdone, I've started a patchwork that will probably outlive me and be so ugly nobody wants to inherit it. I love you for it all the same. In summary, we are not healed, not entirely. Maybe never, but the family, imperfect, mismatched, pieced together as we are, has learned to stand in the same room again. There are still silences and sidesteps, but more laughter than before. We are stubbornly building new stories, strange ones, and I'll never stop being amazed by the small, hopeful moments of grace. Penny's wedding will be a new chapter, and yes, I promise to come back and tell you if the windmill is as bonkers as it sounds. Until next time, may your rosemary bushes be resilient, your kitchens noisy, and your hearts, at the very least, open to another patchwork year. Update 6. I barely know where to begin. This year has been a wild tapestry of chaos, sweetness, and more plot twists than an EastEnders Christmas special. And yes, the windmill wedding was every bit as surreal and wonderful as you all hoped, and then some. Please get your biscuits and brace yourself for a saga. Let's start with the wedding. Penny and Miriam's big day was, quite literally, windswept. The little windmill on the outskirts of Leiden looked like something stolen from a puzzle box, complete with circling ducks and a field of neon tulips. In true Dutch style, everyone cycled up in their wedding finery. The sight of Sally in a jumpsuit, on a borrowed bike with a basket full of British snacks, had us howling before we even got to the hors d'oeuvres. The ceremony itself was intimate and full of splashes of orange, wildflowers, and Penny's blushes. Miriam cried, Penny cried. I ruined my eyeliner 3 sentences into my speech, the first and last time I quote Reddit advice at a Dutch wedding. The wind whipped around and someone's hat sailed off into the canal. We all laughed as the local swans investigated. Now, on to the family drama, and yes, there was plenty, though none of the teapot flinging you might expect at this stage. Miriam, ever the diplomat, made it clear from the start that everyone would be made welcome but that no ancient arguments, please, the windmill creaks enough as it is. Sally arrived, a little pale, but clutching a, surprisingly tasteful, bouquet and gifts for both brides. She and Penny exchanged a tight-lipped hug, the sort where you can see the weight of years balancing on their shoulders, and not 5 minutes later, Sally went and hid in the kitchen to help with the nibbles. Honestly, I expected the worst. But halfway through the reception, Penny slipped away and I found her and Sally outside by the moat. No tears, no shouting, no bitterness in their voices, just a slow, hesitant sharing of old memories. I even overheard them bickering about who actually dropped our old Christmas pudding that year. For the record, it was their brother, but let them have their moment. Later that night, Sally stood up and, very quietly, offered a toast to making new things out of old mistakes, she said. I saw Penny's fingers tremble, and Miriam beam at her like she hung the windmill sails. It wasn't forgiveness, not quite, but it was something softer than either of them had allowed themselves to feel in years. Then, because nothing in this family can ever just be straightforward, Jane, Penny's former mother-in-law, arrived from England, bringing with her a photo album with old snaps of Penny from the before times. She handed it to me with a wink. One day you'll forgive me for the Christmas trifle, too, and promptly charmed every single Dutch auntie in the place with her pidgin Dutch. Penny and Jane had a bittersweet moment alone by the canal at sunset. I don't know exactly what was said, but when Penny returned her eyes were red, and she hugged me like a child again. And oh, you lot, Reddit friends, you will appreciate the crowning moment of chaos. Our family, having thoroughly bonded over awkward silences and jellybean hunts, has adopted a new tradition: rash, poorly rehearsed group dances at every major event. Miriam and Penny, apparently not content with just one spectacle, organized a flash mob-style hoedown. Think, Dutch clog dancing meets English wedding disco. I have never seen my children look so alarmed and so joyful at the same time. Margot, my dear friend and now, by popular acclaim, honorary Oma to the neighborhood, led the charge, and I, in my sensible shoes, nearly sprained something but absolutely did not fall into the moat, no matter what anyone claims. Afterward, Sally approached me as we sat, giggling and windblown, by the candlelit canal edge. She confessed there had been another reason for her nerves at the wedding. She'd started seeing someone, and had been terrified what the family would think. Someone nice? I asked. Someone very, very calm, she said, and the look on her face, shy, vulnerable, and a little hope-worn, told me all I needed to know. I assured her that if we could survive this decade's worth of drama, nothing could shock us anymore. More news: my sons, inspired by the chaos and the windmill, have finally started scanning the mountains of family chaos I've journaled for them, for the cousins, in case the internet ever explodes. My eldest little one now sleeps under my patchwork monstrosity of a blanket, and his bedtime stories have become a battleground for which messy cousin adventure is the best. My youngest son and Margot have declared a truce in their epic bake-off contest. The current détente rests on a lemon loaf that was technically edible. For myself, I am more at peace than I have been in years. Widowhood ebbs and flows, but the sharpest edges have softened with time and laughter. The children, my own and everyone else's, are still gloriously, noisily themselves, broken bits, stitched back together, making space for new stories. The bereavement group is still a lifeline, and Margot's dry wit keeps us well grounded, and occasionally overfed. Even Jane is catching on to WhatsApp memes. Aunties Against Plants is her new persona, mostly to annoy Sally. If there's one thing this year has taught me, it's this: families can break, but they also bend. Civility can look like a cold truce, until it unexpectedly becomes something like genuine warmth. Sometimes, forgiveness isn't about grand gestures but about singing, badly, together in a barn, losing at karaoke, and passing the cheese plate to the one person you thought you'd never sit beside again. You can't rewind time, but you can, astonishingly, make room for new beginnings, even if they come with splinters and a bit too much Dutch gin. So, Reddit friends, let this be my last update for a while, barring any further windmill escapades. The patchwork gets bigger, the family gets weirder, and I've never been more grateful for unexpected peace. Send any and all tips for keeping rosemary bushes alive, and I solemnly promise to report back should Margot ever agree to dance on TikTok. May your family dramas blossom into strange new traditions, your kitchens remain noisy, and your hearts stay hopeful, and may you, too, always have someone to laugh with by a candlelit canal after the worst bits are finally finally said.